Let's run a quick, quietly terrifying thought experiment. Right now, you're holding a specific version of yourself in your mind. You think that version is you. The one that pays taxes, checks the texts left on read, one too many times, wonders why life feels like an endless rehearsal for a play that never actually even opens. Here's the cosmic punchline. That version of you isn't a fact. It's a habit. One you've rehearsed for so long that you started mistaking it for bedrock. Down at the Planck scale, where quantum mechanics drops the pretense of sanity and starts dancing on the tables, reality isn't a fixed slab of concrete, guys. It's a hyperdimensional cloud of maybe. A sea of superposition waiting for someone or something to look at it so it can finally decide what it wants to be when it grows up. In quantum mechanics, we call this moment that maybe becomes here and now decoherence. The instant the wave function surrenders its, infinite possibilities and collapses into a stubborn physical reality. And for thousands of years, the ancient observers had no particle accelerators, right? They looked to the night sky. When they looked to the absolute ragged edge of what the naked eye could see and perceive, they saw a cold, beautiful ringed warden spinning in the dark. And they named him Saturn, the architect of form, the warden of decoherence. Welcome back to Stellarium. For the newcomers, here's the blueprint before we break the universe down right into its subatomic structural beams. Guys, as I've said many times on here, this isn't mysticism, right? Stellarium is not magic. And it's certainly not the toxic positivity manifestation variety where, you scrawl a wish on a napkin and expect the cosmos to run a drive-through window. I mean, guys, here at Stellarium, we build. We build on 4 pillars. The blueprint, which is Western astrology has an empirical millennia-old map of celestial cycles and human dynamics. That's your blueprint, your zodiac chart. Now, the field is the quantum physics, right? Specifically, the undeniable fact that reality is a responsive probability field shaped by observation. Projection is third, neuro-linguistic, and somatic identity construction. Because your nervous system, it can't distinguish from a vividly imagined state and a physically lived one. And then lastly, we have this thing called the release in our practice, which is really just the radical Buddhist technology of non-attachment, right? The really difficult, exacting art of wanting completely, but holding lightly. The blueprint is real. The field, it's responsive. And today, fellow architects, the architect is waking up. In classical astronomy, Saturn marked the end of the line. The outermost planet visible without a telescope. Beyond it lay, the terrifying, unmapped unknown. So the ancient astrologers gave Saturn its job description: time, limitation, structure, discipline, the uncompromising boundary of material form. If Jupiter is the cosmic yes, the endless expansion of possibility, Saturn is the cosmic, are you sure? Show me the blueprints. Now, Saturn rules Capricorn, the sign of earthly mastery and the long, sort of unglamorous climb up the mountain. And traditionally, it governs Aquarius, the cold, systematic, reformation of how a society thinks. Now, let's translate mythology, though, into physics, right? In quantum mechanics, until a system interacts with its environment, it exists in this thing we call superposition. So, simultaneously here, simultaneously there. Yes and no. Dead and alive. Sorry, Schrodinger's cat. Saturn is the mechanism of quantum decoherence made mystic, baby. Come on now. Saturn is the force that compels the field to choose. It's the exact threshold where your intention meets your discipline, where potential collides with physical conditions, where your vast, floating, beautiful dreams meet the cold, unyielding surface of reality. Yeah, that's Saturn. Why? Because your Saturn return arrives around the age of 29. Or Saturn transit a key house in your natal chart. It doesn't punish you. It doesn't care about your ego to bother punishing you. That's not what Saturn does at all, baby. Saturn, it undresses you. It reveals. Saturn hands you a mirror and says, look at this structure. You said you built a house. You actually built a tent out of paper towels and good vibes. And I'm going to blow on it for now. Let's see what happens. Saturn shows us with exquisite, cold precision the gap between what we merely wished for and what we've actually built. And it does so not out of cruelty, but because precision is the only currency Saturn deals in. That's it. So how does an architect actually use Saturn? What do we do with this knowledge, right? How do you build? How do you build without getting crushed under the weight of cosmic gravity? Well, this brings me to identity formation and the Buddhist trap hiding inside of it. Because most people try to manifest from really a state of desperate lacking, right? They say, I want wealth, or, I don't know, I want love, or I want purpose. But quantum mechanics and somatic psychology, they scream the same warning in unison. The field does not respond to your wanting. It responds to your state of being. When you sit around wanting something desperately, what signal are you actually broadcasting into the quantum field? You're broadcasting, I don't have this. The field? It's perfectly responsive. It's a non-judgmental mirror. It simply reflects that frequency back. Correct. You do not have this. Here are more conditions of not having it. I mean, this is where the Buddha's ancient wisdom intersects with Saturn's engineering, guys. Because in Buddhism, there's this concept called the second arrow. The first arrow is, the physical sensation, right, or the circumstance, the hard sort of unavoidable fact. Now, the second arrow is the narrative, the panic, the ego cleaning, the existential meltdown that you staple onto it after the fact. Attachment isn't love. Attachment is terror wearing love's clothing. The anxious grip on a specific outcome, injecting so much noise into that creative field that you freeze the wave function through what physicists called the Quantum Zeno Effect. I mean, you're checking the oven every 3 seconds, and the cake never bakes because it's letting all the heat out. Stop letting the heat out. Let go. Loose grip. Full wanting, loose grip. I mean, to look at your current life, your bank account, your single status, right? Your messy apartment, not with disgust, but with a neutral curiosity of a scientist inspecting a petri dish. I mean, Saturn says, this is sensation, not identity. This is current data, not a permanent sentence of your life. When you master the Saturnian baseline, you stop using your current reality as an excuse for who you are. You establish what we call in Stellarium the sovereign observer. You look squarely at the gap between where you are and where you're going, and instead of paralyzing yourself with anxiety, you lay down the first brick, then the next, and then the one after that too. I mean, that's Capricorn for you, right? Now, one of the most important practices in Stellarium that you can run is known as the Stillness Descent. This is a Saturn practice, right? One that's specifically designed for some of our Earth signs because they're so good at it. The planet that rules the Stillness Descent is Saturn, Capricorn, Aquarius. The pillar that we're looking at here is the field. And the level is pretty low. I mean, this is 1 out of 5. It's one of the foundational prerequisites in Stellarium, and it only lasts really about 15 to 20 minutes, right? Now, the physical focus for the Stillness Descent is your full body scan, palms up in a receiving posture, all right? Guys, every tradition has its non-negotiable protocol. And in Stellarium, before any identity scriptum or projecting astrally or any frequency evaluation, you've got to master Rite 1, which is the Stillness Descent. This is how the architect tames Saturn. This is how you clear the noise out of your quantum field, right? And here's how you do it. All right, here's how you do it. First, I want you to sit upright. All right, sit upright. Or you know what? You can lie flat down, flat on your back. And I want you to have both hands palm up, which is a physical posture of receiving. It's a direct signal to your parasympathetic nervous system that you're no longer fighting with the field, right? You're accepting what it brings to you. Now, second, I want you to take 3 slow, deliberate breath cycles, right? Where you inhale for 4, you hold for 4, you exhale for 8, and then hold for 4, and so on and so forth. On every exhale, I want you to name the dominant thought, and I want you to let it pass. Don't execute it. Don't fight it. Just watch it drift away like the weather. Now, third, I want you to begin a slow, methodical body scan from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet. Now, when you hit a point of tension, shoulders, jaw, gut, wherever, I want you to breathe directly into it. And here's the magic sentence, right? At every point of tension, I want you to say silent to yourself, this is sensation, not identity. Feel that shift. You're not doing anything grand. You're just untying the knot. You're separating the observer from the observed. You're holding the quantum probability field open wide, right? Refusing to prematurely collapse it into some kind of panic. And once the scan is complete, I want you to rest in pure, unadorned awareness for 7 minutes. You're not the weather. You're the sky it moves through. Now, when you finish, open your eyes. Sit in silence for 1 full minute to integrate, the frequency. And then I want you to state out loud, I am grounded in the field. I am ready to build. And that's it. That's the full Stillness Descent. And you should do this on a morning to morning basis to clear out all of the clutter, right? You're just clearing the mind so you can accept. And I want you to do this stuff consistently, guys. Don't do it for 1 week and then give up. You need to do these things for at least 21 days to make any kind of real significant progress. Consistency, right? Because if you use consistency, something extraordinary begins to happen. You stop treating life as something that merely happens to you. You realize that your current personality is little more than a set of legacy scripts. I mean, reactions, you picked up back when you were too young to know any better. I mean, you never even thought to update it because you didn't know it was there half the time. I mean, it was pushed so far down into your unconscious, right? You had no idea it was there. But Saturn demands honesty. It demands that you look at your reality without distortion, neither catastrophizing it into paralysis nor softening it into, some kind of spiritual bypass. Align Saturn's discipline with the moon's cycles, right? Mercury's language, Venus's resonance, the sun's projection, Mars's release, and Jupiter's expansion. And you stop being driftwood on the cosmic ocean. You become the architect. And that's why we do the Stillness Descent before we do anything else. You stop asking the universe for permission to exist. You step into the present field. You draw your blueprint with radical precision. You take consistent, deliberate action. And then, with sovereign elegance, you step back and you let the field respond to what now you're projecting consciously. Stop dreaming. Start constructing. Because the blueprint is real. The field is responsive. The architect is awake. I'm Mike. This is Stellarium. Subscribe today. Email me if you would like to get a reading.